Yeah, our action figures are cool, but they are only as cool as their ability to stand. How many times have you seen photos of a figure broken and on the floor because, whatever the reason may be, it fell off its perch and splattered on the hard ground below? Now, I also know that not everyone likes to use stands for their figures, and I certainly hear the argument that it makes these expensive figures look cheap. But today, I'm here to tell you that all bases are not created equally. So, without further ado, here are the 10 best bases and display stands. You gotta check this out. Oh, hello there, fellow channel member. You may have seen that I recently did a photography tutorial, and I know that may not have been for everyone. So, for the rest of the collectors out there, I am back with a brand new video just for you. That's right, I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 best figure bases and display stands in my collection. So, let me just start off by saying that Hot Toys and other 6-scale companies have come a long way when it comes to their bases or display stands. Now, these little black pucks with a crotch grabber and nameplate are about as lame as you could possibly get. But these companies would not be denied, and they upped the production quality and instead gave us these thicker blocks with crotch grabbers. Some of us were even so lucky to get some footprints added to the top as well. But while everyone was complaining about them being too thick and clunky, we saw some radical innovations with these hexagonal display bases. Now we are getting somewhere. And I'm going to come clean and I'm going to let you know, honestly, if all the bases out there were uniform like this and in this size, I think I might just be happy. But ever so often, Hot Toys does pull a fast one on us and gives us something truly exceptional when it comes to the display base. And I can't wait to show you the 10 best. So if you do like this type of content and want to see more of it, please let me know by giving me a like on this video. It really does go a long way in helping me know what type of content to actually put out there for you. And of course, to make sure that you haven't missed anything, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. I would certainly appreciate it. So here we go, the 10 best bases and display stands out there. And as always, with my top 10 lists, these are coming from in-hand experiences. So you know that what I'm saying is my legit opinion and not BS. So let's get started with number 10. Now, this is kind of a base and kind of not, but it is a display option for your figures. And you could argue that the addition of this environmental piece with the in-art Joker figure is what forced Hot Toys to start looking at their own offerings when it comes to display bases. Of course, I'm talking about the jail cell from the premium in-art Joker figure, made of real wood, real metal. This thing is an absolute beast on the shelf and definitely draws your eye over to whatever is in its vicinity, and most likely it's going to be the Clown Prince of Crime himself from The Dark Knight. There are some display options that you can use. You can have him hanging through the bars as if he's turned around, or you can have him in the traditional stance, sitting on the stool. Whatever, it's your choice, but it is undeniable that this is the perfect addition to an already premium figure. But what do you think? Is it too much? Is it too gaudy? Let me know down below. Next, for years, people have been clamoring for Hot Toys to reissue Ironmonger from the first Iron Man film. But why release a new figure when you could just release another Iron Man and put Ironmonger in the base instead? I'm sure Hot Toys is saying win, win, win with number 9, that being the Ironmonger environmental base from the Mark III 2.0. Now, there really isn't anything special about this other than it looks really cool. I would have loved if there were some actual light-up features inside the helmet, but with how pricey this Iron Man reissue already was, I understand their choice to cut down on some costs. Of course, Ironmonger is not true to size, but it's menacing enough, and the exterior is undeniable and a perfect complementary piece to the Mark III. I know, some people really struggled with putting this piece together considering how hard the plastic was and it wasn't being very forgiving, but a little bit of elbow grease and maybe even a hairdryer and you were right back in business. Is this base good enough, or do yourself want to see an Iron Man reissued? Once again, let me know. Now, number 8, maybe one of the simplest environmental bases on my list, but its versatility has landed it in my top 10, and that is the concrete slab from the Mark 46. Now, the original Mark 46 figure itself was absolutely amazing and still is, in my opinion, one of the top 3 Iron Man figures ever made, but this base which did come with a flight pole if you wanted to have a figure flying, certainly added to its awesomeness. As I said a moment ago, it's versatile. I've used it with Iron Man, of course, but I've also used it with Falcon, with Bucky, with Deadpool. The list goes on and on. If you're going to be doing an action scene or a pose, a smashed concrete slab is exactly what you want. I do wish, though, that there was a few other debris pieces that were either stuck to the side or sticking out like the new 73 Wolverine base, but I will stick with this classic. For all those figures that require a superhero landing, this is the base for you. Now, coming in at number 7 is a base not quite the size of the Mark 46 slab, but equally as impressive, and that is the Mustafar platform droid from Dark Side Anakin. Now, the aura surrounding Dark Side Anakin is without dispute, and is one of the most coveted figures in the Star Wars line, and even then, if there were to be a 2.0 released, who's to say that this would make the cut? Released all the way back in 2017, this Toy Fair exclusive is littered with epicness. Who doesn't love splashing lava wrapping around the Chosen One? Throw in some light up LEDs in the base and in the eyes, and you can see why this one is a shelf stealer and so highly desired. The only drawback to this is its height when you stand it up when you add the figure. If you're a DTOF collector and you want to have Anakin on top of the droid, you most likely are going to have to raise a shelf to fully appreciate all of its glory. So for all of you out there holding out for a 2.0, this is your chance to keep your fingers crossed that they do pack in this piece as well. Now, coming in at number 6 is essentially the Mark 46 concrete slab on steroids, and that is the City Rubble and Tentacles from the integrated suit Spider-Man from No Way Home. Now once again, talking about versatility, you don't necessarily have to have Spider-Man as part of this base. As you can see, I have Dusty Deadpool on it currently, and I think it does a great job of fourth wall breaking, but from the pumpkin bombs to the articulated Tentacle, this base gives you a first glimpse of just how great the No Way Home line was going to be, despite its flaws on some of the figures. Now with the majority of these bases, they do take up quite a bit of real estate in your displays, but if you can swing it and you can afford that room, I highly recommend adding this piece to your collection, especially with it being a buyer's market currently, if you aren't wanting to pay full retail. So strike while the iron's hot. Halfway through our list, and we come to arguably the most iconic environmental base you could possibly get if you're a sci-fi fan and a Star Wars fan especially, and that is the Cloud City base that came with Darth Vader from The Empire Strikes Back. I feel pretty much everyone on the planet, if you were shown this scene, would know that the line, "I am your father," was delivered at that very spot. I mean, how much more iconic can you get than that? Not only does it look cool in the display, but it amplifies an already awesome Vader figure. Add in a battle-damaged Luke Skywalker, and now we're just talking about icing on the cake. Now the lights on this base are battery powered, and perhaps in the future we'll get a USB-C version to keep it always powered on, because this thing is just too cool to not fully show off. But what about you? Am I gushing too much for this iconic base with everything that I've said? Once again, let me know down below. Now, number 4. This, in my opinion, is the one that started it all. When we were all getting the hexagonal bases and we were happy with it, the new Pennywise figure from It dared to be different and give us something truly remarkable. And honestly, since its release, as well as the emergence of InArt and its competition, we have consistently started to see more frequent and better environmental bases. But look exactly what you get here. You have the iconic drain scene with a really nice looking water effect, as well as the movie logo emblazoned on it. But the true masterpiece of this base is its ability to store the second head sculpt. Not only is it extremely clever and extremely functional, it doubles as being super creepy. This is a perfect example of not doing too much, but giving you everything that you would need to really enhance a figure like this. And this base is truly something special. Now, although number 3 isn't winning gold, the figure that came with this next base certainly was looking for it, and that's the DX-15 Shark base that came with Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, just recently, we saw the tease from Hot Toys that a new Captain Jack was on the horizon, and within that tease, it showed him at the helm of a ship. All that to say, collectors do what they do and started throwing their old DX-15 up for sale in anticipation of a new figure's arrival. But hold up a second. Like I said, it shows him at the helm of a boat, so the Shark base may be long gone, and personally, I think that is a huge mistake. It's this Shark base wrapping around the front of a ship. It is such a unique, eye-catching piece, and in my opinion, a true star on my shelf. A ship's wheel is just boring. Wouldn't you rather have a creepy ghost shark with crashing waves and a ship all in one? Now, we don't know just all what's coming with the new Artisan Jack just yet. There may be a shark base, who knows, but if not, that's an L. As I said, people are already selling their DX-15 on the cheap, so if you want one of these Hot Toys and it's its best figure ever produced and one of the best bases for a steal, you might want to hit up some online marketplaces and BSTs while you can. And now, the silver medal. Sticking with those animal bases is one giant villain from No Way Home, and that is the Lizard Diorama base. This base, or figure, I'm actually not quite sure how it's marketed because this piece was so peculiar when it was originally announced. We got the Amazing Spider-Man figure separately, and then this base with the accessories that go with the Spider-Man. Now, I don't pretend to know what all went into the marketing techniques or licenses, but what is undeniable is just how cool this base actually is. Having an entire lizard figure probably wasn't ever going to happen, nor was it ever going to barely be practical, but shrink it down, add it to a diorama base, and you have the recipe for an absolutely sick display. Whether you want to put Spider-Man dueling the lizard or do as I do, have Electro or another villain floating above, the choice is yours, and you truly cannot make a bad one. Could the paint apps on it be a little bit better? Sure, but I'm not complaining. This piece, as I said, is sick, and I'm so glad that we got it. Now, before we get to number one, I do want to give some honorable mentions to some bases that I have not yet received yet, but are on the way, and I think will probably end up finding their way into my top 10 when it's all said and done. And the first one is the Sandman base that comes with Tobey's Spider-Man from No Way Home. Now, for how controversial that figure is, there's no denying how sick that this base itself actually is. When I was deciding between the standard version and the deluxe that came with this base, it was an absolute no-brainer for me, and I can't wait to have him in my collection whenever mine does ship. Now, number two is the dynamic Darkhold Ritual base that comes with Mommy Wanda from the Multiverse of Madness. Now, there's no secret how much I love the Scarlet Witch, and being able to have this base with the opportunity to recreate her floating is sure to be, as I said, a shelf stealer. And like Sandman, I can't wait for mine to actually ship, so add that to my list. I can't wait to have them. So now, number one, it's time to reveal the gold medal, the number one base in my collection, and honestly to date, I think this is the best base that Hot Toys has ever done, and that is none other than the Molten Man base from Far From Home. Designed by a company called Studio Hive, you can see the exquisite craftsmanship that went into this, and truly, it is the shelf stealer. This base was part of the deluxe version of the Stealth Suit Spidey that honestly, no one really bought, and that's truly a shame because if you have a Mysterio in your collection, or any other villain, this base goes from cool to absolutely god tier. Wrap a few of the smoke effects around the molten arm, add in Mysterio, and I challenge you to find me a better overall presentation for a 6-scale figure that is 100% stock from the factory. If you happen to know a better one, you better let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Well, that's going to do it for us here today. The top 10 best Hot Toys and in-art bases in my collection. But what about your collection? Do you have any of these? What do you think? Am I pretty close in my rankings? If not, what am I missing? And what do you think overall? As I've said repeatedly, one of my favorite parts about posting these new videos are the comments and hearing what you have to say. So don't be shy, say hello. Let's have a discussion. If you like this video, you like this type of content, of course, go ahead and bop that thumbs up. Want to make sure to never miss a single one? Of course, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Lots more to come. More lists, more rankings, more collector's tips, all coming straight to your feed. As always, happy collecting, and I'll be seeing you again very soon in our next video.